All right. Yeah, kid. Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer Podcast. My name is Charles, aka the Handsome Homebuyer. If you're looking to sell a house, land, commercial property, you name it. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, dated from the 1960s, 6 inches of mold on the wall, human waste floating past the basement steps, holler at you, boy. I'm quick, I'm easy, I'm a good time. And I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. All right, we got another fire guest today. So this gentleman I've been chasing for a while, actually. I've been in the business for 8 years. He's been in the business for 22 years as a real estate agent. Also dabbles in investing as well. Flips between 1 to 2 houses a year. Has sold over 500 houses in his career. So you're figuring an average of 20 to 30 a year. Think about that for a second, right? If you're a real estate agent, you're running your own business. Most, like 80% of all businesses fail within the first 5 years. This is a gentleman who's doing this for 22 years, consistent. Like if you're going to bet on somebody, you're going to bet on Gil Flores. You're going to bet on the fact that Gil is going to sell 20 to 30 houses every single year. And recently he's made a big move over to Real Brokerage. Anybody who's in real estate knows the Real Brokerage. They just exploded, went public, I think about 6 months ago, $1.2 billion market cap, really tech-based real estate brokerage, doing a lot of things, a lot of people coming over, and he just essentially launched the office out of Long Island with 2 other partners, and they're doing big things and bringing on a ton of agents. I think they just topped 100 agents. I'm going to ask him. Don't quote me on that. Gil Flores.
What's up, handsome?
What's up, man? Good to see you. So am I wrong? Is it you guys have 100 agents? Is it 150? I remember I saw something. You just broke a certain record, a certain count of agents.
Basically, out of the Massapequa branch, there's 100 agents here. I actually brought into Real a total of 180.
Damn. So just across Real in general.
Correct. Yeah. We're nationwide. So there's agents that brought in people in Florida, Connecticut, Jersey. So that's how it's been kind of growing rapidly.
So let's talk about Real for a second, right? Because everybody wants to know about it. It's like it's the hot new girl at the club.
Yeah.
Real's been in business for 10 years, but has really, really exploded over the last 3 years. Recently went public about 6 months ago. And for the most part, before you, it was pretty much virtual, correct? It like had a similar-ish model to EXP, or am I wrong?
So basically, it's very similar. We decided to do a branch. So you don't have to have a branch, but they do give you the ability to have a brick and mortar, which I think EXP, at some point they weren't doing them anymore. I'm not sure if they're allowing them again, but we definitely wanted the brick and mortar because I'm Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 guy, and weekends you're in and out of the office and running around in open houses. So we wanted a base,
No, it makes sense. I mean, virtual has been a big thing. But my opinion is you need some kind of a hybrid. Like I don't think in the real estate brokerage world you need to have an office in every town. I think that's a waste.
Yeah.
I think going fully virtual, people, just human behavior. They want to congregate somewhere. They need kind of like a central hub. So the way you're doing it, I think, is exactly the way you should be doing it. Right on with that.
Yeah, I think it's been huge in our growth because Long Island in general, people the cloud bases are like a newer model, right? So here in Long Island, everybody is used to going to the office. I didn't want that to be a negative and say, hey, Real is awesome, but I need an office. So right off the bat, I wanted to address that.
No, very smart. So talk about all the things you love about Real. You've been in the business for 22 years.
Yeah.
You know every brokerage model. You've worked for a whole bunch of different brokers. You've had people promise you stuff and totally undeliver and not deliver. It sounds like you are extremely happy where you are. So let's talk about that. What is it? And for agents out there, because listen, I think 80 to 90% of all agents that are currently out there are unhappy in their current situation. So what is it about Real that you love, that made you make the leap, that has made 180 agents follow you?
Yeah, well, I made the leap because I saw the opportunity and I wanted to take advantage of spearheading it. And when I ran across Real through investing in a stock during COVID, I started doing more research. And then I'm like, this is a company that has amazing potential. I wasn't looking to make a move. In reality, I haven't made that many moves. I was with Exit for 15 years, Realty Connect for 2, and now I've been here 2.5 years. But when now that I'm close to age to you, like I'm 42. A lot of people don't realize that, but I'm looking for something that I could build towards the future, and that eventually want to kind of slow it down. And I like the benefits of the stock that they offer. So Real actually went publicly traded in 2020.
Hmm.
That's when they actually changed their business model and added stock and added revenue share. So but what I started finding with Real is that they give you an opportunity that all you got to do is, like, I sell houses, and now I have like 6 figures in profit in the stock by just selling houses. So that's always the bread and butter. I didn't want to join a company that's known for recruiting. So Real shies away from, you're not allowed to hire telemarketers and mass email people. It's got to be like personal relationships, and I like that aspect of it. But I did want to take advantage of the revenue share model and build it out, right? And then I wanted to open up an office, but I briefly started telling you I didn't want all the liability of being the broker of record, possibly be getting sued, and all these issues. So they take away that liability from me. There's actually 2 other brokers in place that are hired through corporate. So that was kind of big for me. And then also the ability, in order for the agents to improve, there has to be an awesome training program, right? So there's 25 to 30 hours of training every single week, and all the training has to be is hosted by elite agents. So that means that they sold 28 to 30 houses minimum in order to be able to train you. So it's not somebody that 20 years ago sold 20 houses and now they're telling you how they did it back then. If you're not elite currently, you can't train. So those, I would say, those are like the key components that I really focus on with agents. Is also, don't kind of make the mistakes that I do. Is just focus on selling houses. Like, build a wealth for yourself, and that's kind of where how I got into doing a couple investments a year, owning a couple rental properties. Because if not, you're just working for tips constantly, and you're not building a business.
No, it's smart. It makes sense, and that's the thing. I mean, being a real estate agent or being in sales, you can do very well. You can make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it's still a job because it's very transactional. So the moment you stop, right, the moment the money stops coming in,
Correct.
so kind of. I mean, you've been very, very consistent. Doing 20 to 30 deals a year really puts you in the top 1% of agents on Long Island. Um, how did you establish that business and how did you maintain that business through COVID, through I mean, you were doing this. What year did you start doing real estate?
And O2.
Okay, so you like through the come up from the .com bubble burst, down through the Great Recession, through COVID, like you've seen some shit.
Yeah, for sure. My key thing is, just yesterday I was talking to an investor that I've been working with him for almost 20 years now. And not a lot of agents could say that. There's a lot of deals that, well, with him, I haven't really had any deals go bad. The one deal that died, the person's like leg got amputated, and they decided they didn't want to buy the house anymore. So it's like I bet 1,000%, with all my investors, and that's kind of like my bread and butter. Is that I focus on finding them deals and just selling the houses quick. And I built a good reputation for being fair with other agents. So that's always something that I always upsell. Like when I go to a listing presentation, you're not just hiring me, my team, my office, but I work well with all their agents out there. And that's how I'm able to put together a lot of deals. And when I work with buyers, it helps that I always done the right thing by people, and I have a reputation of doing the business, so it kind of gives me a leg up on getting my offers accepted.
So, but real estate agents, especially newer real estate agents, always have the same question, which is, how do I go out there and start building a book of business, right? How do I start sourcing deals?
Yeah.
What do I do? I'm willing to work. It's Monday morning. I'm in the office at 8 o'clock. I'm there before everybody else, but I don't know what to do. And I think that's really the biggest problem for real estate agents. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say to them, look at this as a career, but also like a job, like a 9 to 5. Some people transition into real estate because they want financial freedom, and they think it's going to be kind of like light work. It's a lot of work. If you come in and every day you show up for yourself, and coming to the office. Not necessarily, but you making your calls from home. You have 2 hours of prospecting. It's like the things that agents don't really want to hear. They think there's like they go to all these seminars. They think they're going to get the secret sauce. And the secret sauce is work hard, put together a game plan, a business plan, and go and execute. Like for me, it's always been like, I got to make a minimum of 3 new contacts a day or accomplish certain amount of tasks. And I'm always hard on myself. If I don't see my pipeline continue to be replenished, I don't stop. I'll reach out to people that I haven't spoken to in a while. But when you're brand new, start with the basics. I mean, those stuff will never go out of style, right? Call, there's Land Voice, there's RedX, there's Mojo Dialer, like all these things I offer to people on my team. Go door knocking. I know some people might think that might be a waste of time. And if you think so, then dive in all in on social media. I recently saw that you interviewed Nick and Nat, right? They joined the office a couple months ago. They're killing it. And all their business is coming from TikTok and Instagram. But they post on their timeline a couple times a day. And they post on their stories. And they're just so active that they look, the consumers obviously reaching out to them because they see all the work they're putting into it.
Yeah, no, listen, it makes sense. I can personally say that I buy a house or two a month just off of the strength of someone seeing me on social media. Like I had a gentleman call me 2 months ago. He's like, "Hey, I was about to list the house, but then you popped up in my feed." And I'm like, before I do that, I might as well just call you first. And, we inked the deal and it was done. So, that is really what happens.
Yeah, it's all about consistency too, because sometimes I hear people say, I called for an hour and I didn't get anything. Oh, I went door knocking to 100 houses. And I'm like, how many people actually answered the door? They're like 2 or 3. I'm just like, you really only door knock 2 or 3 houses then, because everybody else that you left like your business card on the screen door that blew away doesn't even know you were there. And they're not going to call you just because you stopped by, It's like persistence. It's stopping by that. Like I grew my business doing expires. And I never forget that one of my first success with it, this guy stalked him 8 times. And I almost knew, like I asked him what time he got home. And he said 5:30. It was kind of creepy-ish, but I was at his house like at 5:30 randomly. Oh, I just happened to pull by and I saw you pulling in. I knew he was pulling up. And then I was like, hey, how's it going? I haven't heard from you. You still thinking of selling? Then that guy actually gave me the listing on his stoops, didn't even let me in the house, but he's like, you've been so consistent, so shoot. And he's like, present to me right now. I was like, all right, I have my listing presentation in the car, had my comps already ready in the car, and he signed it. He's like, I'll let you in tomorrow. Right now it's a mess, but I walked out with the listing 5%, 359 in Hempstead. Got lucky. I double dealed the house. It was like 17.5. And I never turned back. I was like, this works. But if I only went there once or twice, I would have said, like most agents say, it doesn't work.
So, 22 years, like a lot has gone on. The industry has changed. The world has changed, right? 22 years ago, social media wasn't even a thing like it is right now. The internet wasn't the thing it is right now. Brokerages are really jumping on this whole, tech thing with all kinds of fancy apps and stuff. Have you seen the industry change? And, do you think that all the fancy kind of bells and whistles of the modern tech brokerage are really paying off? Or do you think it's just kind of more smoke and mirrors?
Well, I could speak for real, right? Like they just rolled out Leo 2 years ago. They started investing heavily in AI. And at first it was just like almost like a chat GPT for like real estate questions for us. Now it's Leo 2.0. It's more like a co-pilot. They building it out to be like your assistant. So like now, whenever you list a property, automatically starts creating flyers for you, automatically says like certain things, paperwork that might be missing, and recommend, things that they could support you with. So I think that agents want that kind of stuff. Like now, like agents ask me all the time, like yesterday, somebody was like, where can I find the referral form? And I said, listen, I could send it to you right now, but why don't we just ask Leo? And if it doesn't, you're not able to find it, let me know. they're like, oh wow, that was so easy. So like now, instead of looking for things and going on certain Google Drives, you just ask Leo and he'll pull these forms for you. So
Yeah,
just making your life a lot easier.
that's amazing. What about on the marketing side? What about on, you know, is inbound stuff, outbound stuff? Like, how are you training the agents to really go out there and prospect? You know, if I'm an agent, I'm like, hey, I want to prospect. Who am I calling? How does that all come together? What do you recommend agents do?
Well, so here at the office, we have a hybrid model, right? So Aaron and Rebecca has a team, I have a team, and then there's like 5 other teams. So when they join Real, they have many options, and every team has different offerings, and then they can also just come in as a solo agent. So when they come in as a solo agent, that's typically the agent that has some experience, and they come in because they get the high splits, the low cap, and they're just kind of doing their own thing. But the people on my team, I have weekly meetings with them, accountability stuff, and I just try to provide with them as much tools and resources. So I built my team recently because I only built the team last August, and it was out of necessity because I just really want to list houses and I want to sell my own houses. And then if people weren't interested in it, in my listing, then I would just kind of say, "Great, have a nice day, nice meeting you. Thank you for coming." And I knew I was losing out on money, so now with the team is like all the open houses are ideally for them to host. When they're not available, I'll still do it myself because I got to get the houses sold. But a lot of times, the opportunity comes from my sign calls and any call that normally I would service. Now I would give to the team.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, open houses are, I think open houses are probably one of the most underutilized tool for getting business. Like if I was an agent, I would work and I really wanted to hustle, I would work 2 open houses for other people every single day. Every Saturday, every Sunday, I would be working 4 open houses and I would be out there just having conversations with people because that's ultimately, how it happens.
Exactly. So one of the examples that I recently started doing a little Zillow just to get some inbound calls coming in, but for a long time I didn't do it because like Massapequa, a phone call is $400 a call, and
Yep.
if they're calling you on that annoying foreclosure that's 350,000, you're blowing your budget on something that's not realistic, right? So I use those examples, and I'm like, we're paying for these leads and because they're calling us, but you have people coming in person to the open house that you have to build a rapport with. So the reason why a lot of agents also say that the open house sucks is because they're some of them are just there standing and they're not conversating with the person. They're not really getting to know them. They're not asking them if they ever had a buyer's consultation with somebody, if somebody explained the process to them. Then they're just walking out. And why would that person contact you when they're probably looking at 50 open houses? And, they kind of just want to go in and out. So it's up to you to be a good agent and stand out and make them want to work with you.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So it just seems like even in a world filled with modern technology, like the old school principles of sales still apply. It's, get in front of as many people as possible, show your value, have conversations, ask qualifying questions, probe, and then just keep following up at nauseum and build a relationship.
Correct. I mean, I'm also, yeah, because I've been doing it for so long. And at this point, like I was saying, a lot of my business comes from like 5 different people, and I'm blessed that one investor, even if I don't sell him the house, like usually agents have to sell an investor house to get the listing back. I would say for every house I sell him, I might get like an extra 3, just because he gets them from sources that don't require him to give the listing back, and we have a good rapport. And so I'm lucky to have those relationships, but they're also a lot of work, and sometimes people wish they'd probably be in my shoes, but they don't know. Like I feel like I'm under pressure constantly because after week 2, it's like, how come this house is not sold? you know
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It's it's not that easy, right? Like a lot of investors think, hey, I'm going to renovate this house. I'm going to put it in the market. It's going to go. And I think a lot of investors over the last, 5 to 10 years got really spoiled because it's been a hot market.
Yeah.
But, they don't know what it's like. And then sometimes, listen, sometimes things get messed up. Sometimes you read the market wrong. Sometimes interest rates shoot up in the process. Sometimes you renovate a house in a way that, people don't like. Sometimes there's, something missing. Like I was doing a condo recently in a 55 and over community.
Hmm.
And I bought one that didn't have a garage, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And it ended up being a really, really, really big deal to these people, even though they had parking. So, this is a big boys game, and it doesn't always pan out the way people think it does. They don't. It's not like, oh, I bought a house, I listed it, I'm going to make all this money. No, a lot of times you don't. Sometimes you lose.
Yeah, with today's prices for sure, because I see that you get stuff at a good price, right? But like you're doing so much to generate these leads, and whenever you're one to one with the seller and you're not competing against everyone else on MLS or a ton of people, then you have more leverage and negotiating with them. So that's another thing that I try to train the team is like on my specialty is like how to identify a good deal, how to like present a deal to an investor and say, hey, because my when I sell a house to a guy, I just don't send him an address, go check it out and let me know if you want to make an offer. I'm like, hey, it's at 300,000, but believe it or not, we might have to go to 350 or three, whatever the case may be, because I try to get some feedback from the listing agent. If I have a relationship, then I give them an idea what I think, like I know more or less how much it's going to cost them to renovate it. And that's where like the investment part comes in handy. And then I look at the resale. And then a lot of times I'm able to get deals, make them happen because I know my numbers on the resale too. So sometimes they'll say, well, I only think I could get like seven. I'm like, no, we could get 7.25 for this. And I try to be as conservative as possible. And whenever I say that, I also stick to that. And I'm only saying that because there's not just one house that sold for 7.25. I found multiple, or this might be a better location, larger lot, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the fact that you have that investment background really, really helps. Like in any profession that you're in, it's you always want to be investing yourself and kind of, honing your craft. So the fact that you've done real estate investing on your own, that you do a few flips a year, that you stay current on pricing, on the renovation side, makes you even more of an asset to these guys, because you're not just sending them a listing saying, let me know what you think. You're like, hey, this is a deal. I do this. You and I speak the same language as you. This is
Yeah.
why I think you should buy this house, because there's money in it, and this is why.
Yeah. No, I sold plenty of houses that the guys never seen. And before like video was big, like now what I do is I go in there, I take a quick video, I send it, I'm kind of talking as I'm speaking, like, hey, you're gonna have to do the bathroom, this and that. And for the most part, they know what they're getting themselves into. And then quickly, that's why I think I'm also able to get deals done, because now that investor, sometimes you might be busy, right? You can't go look at the house today and tomorrow, and by Monday it might be gone. So I'll go see it. I'll kind of shoot you the video. Now you could kind of think it over, and we can make an offer today. So we're beating the people that need a couple days. Sometimes a couple days is too late, right? So try to just expedite it. When I see something come up, I move quick, and the people, my clients that I work with, they move quick. Like when I say truly, we'll sign tomorrow. My guys, my main guys that I work with, they never bullshit around and say like, "Hey, I didn't get to it." Like they know the urgency. It's hard to find deals, so they make it happen. They're wiring the money. Half of the time, their attorney signing the contracts because they have such a good relationship with their attorney, or they e-signing real quick. So you're able to expedite things.
Yeah, I mean, now you're talking about just a completely different level of customer service, right? So the people that, for agents that are out there, it's not just about opening doors. It's not just about putting them on a drip. It's literally like Gil getting out in the street because his buyer can't get there, doing a video tour. And I'm sure, listen, it all sounds great. Like you're like, yeah, I did a video tour. The guy signed. We were on the contract in a day. I'm sure you've done hundreds of video tours for guys and they didn't buy the house, or
Correct.
they tried to buy the house and didn't get it. So, I think a lot of people go out and they do something and it doesn't pan out, and then right away they're like, oh, this is a waste of my time. I don't want to do this.
Correct. So no, I never see it that way. And for the agents that are trying to get in with these investors, you gotta put in the extra work, and you gotta make it as easy as possible for them to pull the trigger. And people doing well, like busy people, want things to be very easy. You know, sometimes when you'd be surprised the way we communicate with my investor. Like I just send them the stuff. He already knows that I don't have to tell him every single time. I already vetted them. Like that goes without being said. Like I don't send them an offer unless I spoke to the mortgage person and I ask them all the qualifying questions and I get a good vibe and speak to the listing agent. Then I checked everything off. Then the offer goes out, because if not, it just kind of backfires. And sometimes you send them an offer and then I never want them to accept something, because I know that that's my reputation on the line. And this in this business, if I would have put together a couple deals that died with one particular guy, we wouldn't be working together. But that's why we're working together for now almost 20 years, because I don't just try to push stuff through. I try to make sure that it's gonna close, you know?
No, and that's vital. It's easy just to take, an offer. It's another thing to really go through the process of vetting these people. Because let me tell you something, nobody else is vetting them. Most of these loan officers are totally out to lunch. They have no idea what's going on. They don't look into these people. There's a lot of agents that are running around with buyers and they have absolutely no idea that their buyer is not qualified to buy a sandwich, let alone a
Yeah.
freaking house.
No,
So
and I actually, this year that happened, that this girl was saying a slam dunk deal. And I was like, listen, not for nothing. Every time I hear slam dunk deal, that's when I worry. So tell your mortgage guy to give me a call and then I'll let you know if everything kind of checks out, you know?
yeah, no, it's true. And listen, as agents, you have to follow up. You have to ask these people questions. Don't feel like you're overstepping. It's like Gil said, it's your reputation on the line. So, Gil, kind of to close out, I'm curious to know, like, again, you're a young guy. 41's young,
Yeah.
right? Whether you think that or not. Do you think 41's young?
42. 42.
42. All right, you're still young.
Yeah, I mean, I feel young. I think I'm happy that I feel, like there's no issues, right? I just got checked out by the doctor. It's like, you're good. So
Everything's still working. Everything's
feel
functioning
good,
100%.
look good. So yeah, I mean, at this point, I like where I'm at in life. For my age, you can always say, I wish something would be different or I'd be in a better place, but everything's been an experience. And right now I'm definitely in a good spot. A lot of the work that I put into in this career is like paying off right now. And I'm very excited to continue to take Real to the next level and to have found it where I did, right? Like there was 150 agents in New York when I first joined Real. We're about 800 right now. And there was 4,000 agents nationwide. We just crossed 23,000. So the opportunity to grow and really like say, build the legacy and one day look back and be like, that was nice. That was a good time. And I'm proud of what I built is what I'm looking forward to.
Listen, in real estate, as in life, it's about timing and it's about when you see the opportunity, jumping on the opportunity. Because there's opportunities that come in front of us every single day. It's just a matter of choosing the right one and taking action. So with that said, listen, Gil, I appreciate you. I thank you for coming on. If there's anybody out there looking to buy or sell, or agents that are looking to see what Real has to offer, how do they get in touch with you?
On Instagram is Real Gil Flores, and my cell is 516-840-1030. Shoot me a text, give me a call. All conversations are kept confidential. And, my approach has always been, I'm not a salesy guy. So I just want to raise awareness for Real. And if you're considering, especially this is the time of year, I'm not sure exactly when this is going to air, but it's like mid-December. Between December and January, they say like, I think 17% of the agents make a move. So if you're one of those agents thinking of making a move, give me a ring.
All right. And if you're somebody who has a house that smells like cat pee and you're thinking about selling it because you're tired of smelling it, I'm your guy. 516-777-SOLD. That's a wrap.